Molweni Sanibonani Dumelang. Welcome to Property Market Moves. I am your host, Kululwa Mutwa, and today I am joined by Tebogo. Now, Tebogo, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm okay. It's that time of the year where
everybody's tired.
Yeah, so it's...
Oh my goodness, it's so crazy how much we've actually done and how fast the year seems to have gone.
Yeah.
But let's hope that we actually did the right things.
I think my children keep on saying, she keeps on calling me about Christmas. Everything is December. This is what I want to do. I'm like,
we're already at that time.
Yeah, she's not even worried about the exam. She keeps on saying, no, I'll pass, but I just want you to do my nails, my hair. I'm like, yeah, guys, now I need a break from this thing.
And when at this time you're thinking about, work for 2025, we're closing on to of 2024, but we need to secure, the bag for 2025.
I'm like, I'm closing on the 23rd. Why so long? Why? She's just fighting about that. No, but you should close on the 13th and then we can go somewhere for the 15th. I'm like, girl, I am exhausted. I just want to sleep.
Goodness.
But, with them, they've got energy and everything.
So. All right. So tell us about Tebogo. We know you have a daughter, but who's Tebogo?
Tebogo is just a friendly, quiet person. I've got how many years I've been a conveyancer for a very long time. I think I've got 15 years experience on my back. Done articles in conveyancing. I think everything just been conveyancing. Did work for government, private companies, individuals. So I've got a little bit of vast there. Bonds, registrations, notarial deeds. So all kind of conveyancing that we do. But it's being you are an attorney and then a conveyancer. And so those are that's my profession. I am a partner at Michael Bill Motswening Attorneys.
Okay.
So MBA. So I recently joined them this year, 2024. So hopefully to grow more and let's see where it goes.
No, I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
So you've done bond registrations, you've worked on township registrations. I mean, and we've grown up in townships, right? And you never really know if there's such a thing as a registration of a township. How prevalent is this, unregistered townships in South Africa?
I love every day when I go back to the township and I see it's a new thing. You see people have new stands, but then you look at, oh God, it's just went wrong. It's just stands. There's no layout plans. And then you ask yourself, how do you think? And the person has built such beautiful mansions on those properties. And then you ask yourself, where are they going to get a title deed and all those kind of things?
Sure.
And then you come to urban areas, then you see that a township only starts with roads. It does just not start with property. That there's a proper layout where you have the road, you've got the storage, you've got the electricity. So it starts somewhere before they build.
Yeah.
There's a surveyor who comes in, there's a planner who comes in, there's consents from municipality. Municipality plays a very big role in township development in terms of the bulks, in terms of how the township is going to be. So people just don't. I know that we just want to go and buy a stand for 50,000 rand and build a mansion because we are so afraid of approaching a bank, or maybe we don't have a good credit, but we just go. And I just realized that I'm a girl from Harankua. I see there's a place called Mushat. It's beautiful. It is literally built next to a railway station.
Sure.
You ask yourself, this is the land between I think Medunsa. Medunsa has cleaned it, but there's a land that was sitting. When I did some work for PRASA and all that, PRASA tells you between the station there must be a 5-meter radius. This is where those people have built for derailing. So somebody sold those townships, that they call it Mashate, which means something is happening there.
Yeah.
But there's no roads. There's no road infrastructure that you see. They've got electricity, yes. They've built mansions. But now, who's going to give you a title from there? How are you going to develop that township or register that township? It means all these things that you do before will have to be done. Some of you, your house will be cut because of relaying or redoing, resurveying. Because remember, when you survey, you've got the PEX, which tells you where the property will be, where the municipal lines or the storage lines must be, where the road must go. You know, you need to see, there must be a study of the visibility or the building of saying, is it a wetland? Is it this? Is that, you know, all those kind of things that you need to be looking. There must be environmental kind of to say. So if you are building on a wetland, what's going to happen? Your house will forever have a mold. So the maintenance, everything, you are going to be keeping up, but the person is gone with the money.
Sure. So much is coming up, you know, for me, from what you've just said. I mean, firstly, I mean, taking it right all the way back, you're saying someone, you know, sold those stands. Yeah. Does that person even have the right to sell those stands? And if they don't, what is the implications then on the ownership aspect for the people who have actually bought, you know, those stands?
Yeah. I mean, if it's not his land, the owner of that land has rights and recourses that he can use. Eviction, deleting or really breaking down everything. Yeah. And I mean, we're constantly doing that we see that people keep on buying smaller lands for, it's 25,000 rand. I can get a loan of 300,000 and build my mansion. Yeah. Yes, you can do that. But have you asked the right questions to say, who is the owner of the person? You know, to go to this office and ask, it's an 18 rand transaction or 25 rand transaction to say, this land that is here, is the right person who owns it? Because in most cases is that we've got farms, we've got agricultural holdings. So people just see a land that is open and we're like, oh no, this is where I can go. But that agricultural land or a holding is owned by somebody. It might be, I know with our history, but it might be, it is owned by somebody. It's not, or is owned by government. Yeah. You know, so who is the owner? Is the person who's selling this property have the right to sell them? Because that's the rights of ownership. The only person who has the ability to alienate is the owner of that property.
Now, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years later, you've been staying in this, property that you've built over a land and you've got a proof of payment. Kulula sold me this piece of land, but Kulula had no rights to actually sell you the land.
Did you get? Did you get a slip? Did you get an offer to purchase? Or did you just get a slip that it comes with a blue book that we use at societies? Yeah. That says you've paid 50,000 rand. But who is the owner of the property? That's number one. You ask yourself, the person who sells me this property, does he have the right to own, or does he have the right to alienate this property? That's number one. And the problems what that we find at locations is that it's A, B, C, D who sells the property. And you find that actually it belongs to F. It does not even belong to A, B, C, D, E. It belongs to F, but you're the one buying, or you buy a property on an affidavit. There is no such things. I know. I can tell you my experience with my mother who bought a property in that manner to say, I give somebody 40,000 rand, and then affidavits are personal. People don't understand that. Affidavit says, I, Tebogo Tisane, hereby say. Yeah. It has nothing to do with the person who sells you that property. Literally, it has nothing to do. That person does not even put themselves in there. An offer to purchase, you just say, Tebogo and Kulula. Tebogo is the seller, he's selling me this property for this. You can write it down, or you can buy it a CNA, you can buy it. But, there must be an intention to say that I am selling that property to this person for this amount of money, then the property description. This is the property that I'm selling.
And you're saying that actually getting this information is literally a price of ikota or even cheaper.
25 rand, yeah.
To just know, am I transacting with the right person?
Yeah. Because at this office has the registration of each and every person who owns the land. So if you're going to say, I'm going to now go to F25, even actually at locations, it's not, you don't even have to worry because the house numbers are the F numbers. Yeah. That's the reality of it. So if it's house 5477, zone 4, so that's the property that you're going to say, I'm looking for this property. They will tell you, does it belong to Kulula? Or does it belong? So the surname should match somewhere else there. So if it's Tisane, it will be, if it's my grandparents, it will show that it's my grandparents, it will show it in the name. Or my grandfather in terms of the olden days where it was only registered in the name of a man. But those are the things that, so then at least you can say I'm buying from the right person.
Okay, now you've bought legally and you are the actual owner of this land or property, that you've acquired. What are the benefits that come with ownership?
It's investment. It's you. I mean, you are the owner. You own. It has. You've got stability.
Yeah.
You've got appreciation because land always grows. It's those things of saying, and I mean, it's a legacy for your own family at the end of the day, is that you're going to be leaving something for your own family or your own children or your wife if anything happens to you and all those things. So you've got, that's I think when I bought my own house, that's how I felt, to say
pride.
At least, yes, there's pride in saying, there's no way, we grew up with a family where most of us grew up in the grandmother's households.
Yeah.
Mommy gets another property or later on, whatever. But in most cases, it's that family house life that we've lived with. We were 13 in a 4-room house or 5-room house and whatever. But to move and get that property that you own, I don't think there's that pride and the legacy there. And again, is that I made it.
Sure. And I mean, it reminds me of this program that, which was actually regularizing, right, ownership in townships. The city of Joburg ran some years ago. I think they probably still are. And they had this, caption, my land, my heritage. And I don't think that anything resonates, more when you're actually thinking about the heritage, the roots, right? The connection to a place or in a country, like actually having land,
we don't own land. A lot of us don't own land. A lot of us prefer to rent. It's easier to rent or whatever, to live for the day.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day is that when you own, it's another feeling. It's totally another feeling. It can be owned with a mortgage, but you pay that mortgage at a certain point, it's going to be finished up. But the day you start finishing up that payment, this is my house. Your responsibility as an owner would be just to make sure of the payments, and it's maintenance of the house itself, maintenance of, or not even maintenance of, pay your bond or whatever that you have. If you've bought for cash, you'll be okay. But if you have a bond, you've got that. And then really to just finish up. And when you finish up paying, you're like, oh my God, this is me.
This is mine.
This is mine. Automatically, I own this. So
no one can wake up one morning and decide, I actually don't want you in this place, because
no one can say that to you. You can build the way you want it.
Amazing.
You can just do everything that you're looking for towards that property.
And now you've touched on it a bit, but with benefit comes also obligations.
Yes.
And now these are some of the things that property owners don't know, whether it's just your residential stand that you stay at, even more when you are owning, commercial land. You have become, a landlord. You've built a residential, development, or office development, retail. What are some of the obligations that come with ownership that people don't really think about?
Look, I think obligations with ownership comes with what are you having. So if you've got a sectional title, you're doing a sectional title, which is residential, for people that as the landlord, the raise, it's for you. So the property rates are for you. The outside the common areas that we call the common areas are for your responsibility. And in terms of the leases that you're going to be signing with your tenants or whoever, or if you're going to sell, then it moves. There's a difference where you are just renting the whole properties, or you're going to be selling that, then there's an ownership. If you're going to be selling that, there is an ownership towards that sectional title, then a point of a body corporate comes in. So the owners becomes the body corporate. If you're going to be renting, then it's just the rental that you are responsible for everything. But when you're going to sell where there's a body corporate, the body corporate is liable for certain things, and you as the owner, you're liable. But at the end of the day, when you will sell the last unit, means you're not the owner anymore. So the property is owned by the body corporate, or the whole land is owned by the body corporate. So the owner of the sectional title and the body corporate now are into an agreement. So the body corporate will be responsible for the outside or the common areas. So you will be, the owner will be responsible for the structure, not the structure, the inside of that property, of her own property, of their own sectional title. So both of you will then share responsibility. So in terms, you hear people saying, I've got a leak. I need to see where this leak is coming from. So if it's coming from the outside, then there's the body corporate. If it's coming from the inside, then it's you, the owner. So all those kind of things that you would find that the inside of the property, you've got what they call participatory quotas. The participatory quotas tells you that each and every owner of a sectional title has a certain contribution that they do. So the body corporate then will put in levies, which the levies are more to maintain those properties and the outside of the painting and everything. So the outside of the structure building will be then the body corporate. The inside will be for you. So the painting, the guards, all those kind of things, the gardening, all those, you find that the body corporate will be then the ones that send. And the owners of that, who as much as you are an owner, you are part of the body corporate. So automatically as an owner, you become part of the body corporate.
But now we don't even know about body corporates at times, or we know about them, but we don't want to get involved as owners. So you stay in this complex. You see that the roads, are in a bad state. The security is terrible. It's just bad. There's no upkeep. But the body corporate may be established, but never sits. I mean, how do we establish a body corporate and really make sure that it's functional?
Look, it's all the owners. The fact is that other people, what they do is that the owners does not even live in those complexes. They're just renting it up. But literally, the owners of the complex or of the unit are supposed to be. So in terms when the developer, would call the developer, which was the owner of the land who established, the minute he sells the last, or he sells the first unit, is that it's assumed that the body corporate has been established. So the body corporates get to be registered at the deeds office. You don't do all this. So there's always that kind of thing. So there's management rules that is ran by a sectional title scheme act. So it tells you that you're doing this. So some of the body corporates, what they do is that because they don't have the management skills, then they get management companies to do these things, to act on their behalf, to collect the levies and all those kind of things. And we do get fly by night that whatever they get the money, then they disappear with the money. So you find that, but as owners, I would encourage that as the owner of a unit, participate. No, because the body corporate must have annual meetings. They must have votings. They must have what you call, you got all. There must be resolutions, because all this, when you're saying we're going to be painting, they need to be painting, we need to be fixing, comes with the resolutions, and the body corporate is the one that has to take that resolution. So if you don't participate, you're not gonna get anything. You will be complaining to say, this place is not moving, this place is doing this, we're not doing anything. But you are the person who's supposed to be participating in this kind of thing.
Actually make sure that the body corporate
because you are the body
does
corporate.
what it's
you might elect people to act on your behalf, but you are the body corporate.
All right. And you've spoken about bond registrations now over this property that I have legally acquired, not the one that is bought in this shady transaction. When I have paid up the loan over the property, because the bond is registered, when I've taken a loan against the property, does it automatically get cancelled?
No. You pay off. And this is where a lot of people never get this whole thing. You get a bond, you pay it over 20 years. That's the most you can do. Then, with your bond, there's what we call homeowners insurance. There's homeowners insurance is to say if there's anything that can come into the vice measures, which is the rain, what you claim for for your geyser, for your whatever. This insurance, if you finish paying, it does not disappear up until you say you must clearly. With the bank, you have to inform them to say, I have finished, I want to cancel my bond. The bank then will appoint a bond cancellation attorney. Who will then cancel your bond, because remember, your title, the title deed that you have given as a security, has an endorsement to say there's a bond over the property. So that bond needs to be cancelled. So on the title deed, they will have a cancellation to say there's an endorsement saying the bond has been cancelled. So that's why you do a cancellation to the bank. People always think that no, because it's in the bank, it's safe. And then because you were not paying, you stop paying the bond. Remember the insurance. Insurance does not finish up until your obligation, you tell them, I'm done. So your homeowner's insurance sometimes runs.
And beyond your payments, beyond your wondering, payments. What am I being charged for by the bank?
So you keep on, and people don't understand. So the homeowner's insurance runs up until you cancel it. So if you don't cancel it, then tomorrow when you get to say, I know now I decide that I need my title deed, or you need a further bond. Then the cancellation cost comes up. You're like, oh, why am I getting this? Or now you start getting calls from the insurance, also not the insurance, or from the creditors, not the credit. It's actually the collectors saying, you have not been paying this, but you can like, but I paid my bond, but you have not been paying the insurance. So the insurance comes. Remember, the homeowner's insurance automatically comes with that. It's not a credit life. There's a difference. There's a credit life. The credit life is to say, if I die today without owing an amount towards my bond, that will be paid off. Homeowners insurance deals with the structure of your property. That the bank, as the security that they use, they give you to say you need to pay this, to claim, to do whatever. If your geyser is down, if there's a fire and all those, that covers the structure. So those are the homeowners insurance. But when you finish paying your bond, you need to tell the bank that I will be cancelling so that you can get your title deed back. Your title deed, you keep it in a safe place. You do not laminate it because, guys, you don't know. You get to people, you get a title deed, it becomes out of service now. You can't do anything. You don't laminate it. It's not like a birth certificate that you literally...
So no endorsement can be made on that laminated title deed?
No, but then it's become inserviceable. We can't do anything. So that means then we must apply for another an information copy to say you've lost, even if you have it.
Yeah.
It has to be kept in a safe place in its original form. It has to be kept in its original form.
My goodness. I would not have imagined. I mean, you're probably thinking certificates, right? You want to laminate it and put it on the wall. And now to preserve this paper, which is a title deed, you know, that you are so proud of because you've got a property laminated.
Oh, no, that destroys the whole thing about the title deed. That's the reality of it. And you see them, you get like, oh, the old lady comes and he's like, he gives us a, Ma, you said you have the title deed, but this is not. So now we need, and it really, when it's destroyed or inserviceable, it delays the transfer process because then we have to advertise for 2 weeks for a VA or Regulation 68 to say it has been lost or it's inserviceable. We can't use it. So it's an advertisement for 2 weeks that you wait for 2 weeks from for people to make comments, and then you can do that property.
Okay. So now we canceled the bond. And I mean, you spoke about servitudes, right? That's part of what you do. What is that? I mean, we know about a bond because everyone, when you get a property, you know at least there should be a title deed. There will be a bond, over the property if you're taking a loan. But what is a servitude?
Servitude is a limited real right. So you've got two kinds of servitudes. You've got a personal servitude and you've got a real right. Right? The real rights are your ESCOM. You know, when those electric poles, the municipality and all that. So when the property, that's why I'm saying if you follow the right part of opening or registering a township, a municipality then will tell you where the servitude lies. And that's why you get, you when I spoke about unregistered way, electricity, the roads, the packing or the layout of the properties. So all these things comes up when you have done a proper township planning. So in terms, the municipality will say, okay, we've seen on this property, it's not going to be on the township layout. This property here, this is our land, but we need you to cover it. So we're going to put a servitude on that because of the big storage, whatever that is there. So, or ESCOM says, no, but this is where we can put a little bit of our power station. So we need a servitude there. And then those are the servitude that comes with the township where you will see that keeps on being carried. Whoever, it's a lifetime. It will always become. So whoever buys that property, F25, it follows. It's always going to be registered in the title deed. So every time it goes. The ones that are becoming a bit, it's what you call personal servitudes. The personal servitudes is when I give you the right to inhabit or what you call a uses, a habitatio. So you will use the property up until, but that one it's limited. It has up until you pass on. Whatever, you can sell the property. So all these things are registered. So the servitude can be carried forward from the title deed, or it can be created notarially. So you got a notary, you do a notarial deed, and that is it. When you register that every servitude is registerable. So when you do a deed search, it will then give you a K. Then you realize there's a servitude. So there's a note to say endorsement on the K. Then there's a servitude. Then you check what servitude it is. Is it a personal one or a real right one? So the personal ones have a lifetime. You find that it's a lifetime. Is that if A uses this and then if he passes on, that servitude finishes. But the servitude on land or on the tenement land is that it does not have a lifetime. It's continuous. It keeps on going and going and going. So, or you can create, other people do create realize or pridal servitudes with themselves to say, if we do, or you subdivided the property now, you've got a 2,000 square meters property, you subdivide it. When you have subdivided that, but you realize that with the municipality, they tell you there's only one gate that you can be using.
Okay.
So this part, with you having the bigger amount and then this one, you're going to have to do a servitude to use for this person to access. So that is what we call a paridal. So you're creating a servitude for that because of the subdivisions that you've done. So municipality will guide you on to what, but that servitude too is registrable. It's registrable in all the ways of it. And as we're saying, it limits the owner's right of the owner to I think the terms is that you've got as it limits your rights is that as the owner, you're giving a little bit of your land towards somebody to use for the enjoyment of using that gate, of using that. So for me to access my property, I need to pass through your property.
Sure. So now for personal servitudes, so my mom passed on the property to, my brother, but there's a servitude, that property can never be sold. But my brother decides to sell it anyways. Then can they cancel that?
No, you always need the consent of the person who has the servitude.
And if they are deceased?
Remember, if you are deceased as a person, so in your example, you are the one your mother gave your servitude, the servitude to, and your brother wants to sell that property.
Yeah,
you need to consent to the sale of the property.
Okay.
Without you consenting to that, there's no way he can sell. So, and if you passed on, that servitude can be cancelled because remember it was a lifetime.
Okay.
It's all based on your lifetime.
So it does not exist beyond the life of the person
who has been given only on uses. What habitatio or use to say, I leave my property to A, but B has the right to live and reside in that property until her death or whatever. And then so that one it's a limited one. So it means that if B passes on, that then you need to cancel that because remember that servitude will then be recorded on the title deed. There must be a cancellation of it. So then you can. But if you are alive and kicking and your brother wants to sell that property and you're not agreeing, remember even if it's a uses is that you've got a limited right. So you it's an enjoyment.
Yeah.
So unless you agree with the brother, okay, you're selling for this, you're paying me this amount of money so that I can get myself an alternative accommodation for that. But the one of the paridal, which is the land one of the ESCOM, municipalities and all those ones, you can't cancel unless the municipality is the one who's willing to cancel that. But they create in terms of the roads and all those. So those ones are continuous. Keep them on that.
So some of our members, actually most, are companies, right? They buy land for development, whether they develop, like I said, a retail, a residential development, office, and so on. What are some of the processes, like the legal due diligence that they actually need to do? I mean, you've spoken about establishing, ownership, and I think that's, almost obvious, especially for someone who runs a business. But are there other legal due diligence searches that they should actually do when they buy a land?
Okay. For me, I always say to my clients, number one, not every attorney is a property attorney. So there are conveyancers. Conveyancers specialize in transfer of the property or commercial or whatever. They know what they're talking about. So for me is that the minute you have identified a property and you are interested in that property, ask a conveyancer to say, are you able to check for me if this person who is the owner of that property, or you go to the deeds office and check for those things. And then ask a conveyancer to say, do me a conveyancer, so can you literally do a due diligence for me for this property? So the conveyancer, if you give them that, okay, they will charge you, but then they can go through each and every title deed, previous, current, whatever, to see what conditions were imposed on those properties? What are the conditions? What is happening with that land and all that? Then the conveyancer will give you a conveyancing certificate telling you what he has found on that property. So to say, okay, there is this, you can't be building more than one. I mean, most of the title deeds says this. You can't be building more than one dwelling. And people don't understand.
And I want to put a high rise.
You want to put a high rise, whatever. But then the advice comes, if you can't, then you remove. It's an application again. Where you go into the municipality, then you remove that condition. Right? There are conditions which are old conditions that are going on with, in Africans and all those kind of things. So you're looking at what conditions are you imposing and what is your intention with that land. So if you have, for example, as I said, you can't build more than one dwelling. So how are you going? But now you want to build sectional titles.
And this condition then may not be on the title, or will it be on the title? And on the township?
It won't be on the township. Because the township, remember the township, you are the one who's going to create the township. The township itself is not. So when you get unimproved land, I call them an unimproved land, which is just a big
piece of land.
You need to find what is the holding title saying. So that holding title will then be guiding you of how are you able to do this. If it's a farm, remember with a farm again, you just don't build a township on it. The minister must consent towards that. We get a 70-70, you go to rural development to say, we are changing. So you need to be telling us, this farm is not being used as a farming. We need, then the minister will consent to give you a 70-70. That 70-70 is what establishes the township. All right? Then the municipality, you make applications to municipality. So there's so many things that goes in for that township to be dealt with. I mean, the municipality will say, okay, these are our things. You've got bulk. Municipality will deal with roads, will deal with electricity, and then issue you a 101.
Municipality may not do that tomorrow.
No.
So these are the considerations, because they don't even have a budget, or they've got a plan.
No, you apply for planning. There's this Spluma. Spluma guides us on how you're doing in the township or how you're going to be doing this whole things. But people have a tendency. The worst one is what we call bulk infrastructure. It's the most expensive because it's when the municipality says you need your storage, your water, all these things, the pipes, this is how they go. You need to pay for those kind of things. You pay for them. So your planner, town planner, will then liaise with the municipality. And then your architect and whatever, does this allow you? Because some of the title says you can't build more than 2 stories. So all those kind of things gets to be, it's your due diligence that you go through to say, what did my conveyancer certificate says on this property? So the town planner will come in to see the feasibility or the environmental of that property to say, hey, there's water here. You're going to have a problem. So how do you rehabilitate this place?
Oh my goodness, I'm just thinking, I've just found this piece of land that is cheap, and I buy it before I involve, all these professionals. And then you come, or someone comes and they tell me that actually there's water, there's dolomite, there's this, there's that. And that process was actually not done. So what's my recourse? Can I go back to the person who sold me that piece of land and say, actually, or should I have done my due diligence before buying?
You should do your due diligence. We get, footstool sold as it is, all those kind of things. But I think, if the intention and you have clearly given your intention to that, then you have a recourse. But if the thing was that you just went for the fact of cheaper, and that's why I say when you identify, ask your conveyancer what needs to be done.
Now, the last one, it's a burning one. I have put up this development. I have X number of units. I've got tenants. And we know that tenants are protected. So we've got a contract, that says you're going to pay me rent in this manner, and this tenant doesn't, and I want to get rid of them and get someone else. Can I just rock up and say, actually, you owe me rent for 3 months, for 6 months, get out of my property?
Look, easy ways and to just protect yourself.
Yeah.
In terms of what you call is that you send a letter, you do that. That's more of the litigation stories that goes into. But guys, you've got the tribunal. Tribunal does not only protect tenants, it protects even the owners. So all of you do, and I think, look, you follow the tribunal.
Yeah.
This is what happens. You give the reasons. I've sent a letter of demand. I've literally followed the due course. This person is not being paid and whatever. Because most of the tenants, what they do, the minute they just run to the tribunal to say, I'm lodging out a claim. And then you need to respond. So when you're responding, I'm supposed to say, I've given you this time, I've given you this, I've given you the letter of demand to say you need to move out. I've given you 30 days. I've given you, I know we do the mandament funds poly or the evictions. So you just have to follow the due course. And then at the end of the day, you will get in. But others have a tendency of saying, no, I'll lock my house and then you're not going to come in. But that's how. So eviction is a bit tricky on its own or whatever. But I think if you follow the due course where you have given the person sufficient notice and you report at the tribunal, they will then stand with you to say, no, but you have been given enough. You need to move out. You're not paying and all those kind of things.
Okay. So we have come to the end of our questions. We've got one more. And this one came from the guest that we hosted. So it reads, it may or may not be related to, to our conversation today. Because when they send us the question, they don't know who the next guest is going to be. One of the barriers for Black entrepreneurs to enter the property industry is capital. And most or not all financiers require equity for any commercial transaction. What do you think can be done to assist entrepreneurs in raising equity? Okay, so I think that's the actual question. What do you think can be done to assist entrepreneurs in raising equity?
Hey.
How can we help them? I know it's outside of your...
I think we start small. People, I think we have to start small. When you're starting small, it's about your credit record, your affordability.
Yeah.
So buying a house of 180,000 rand, if you saved enough, if you're taking a bond or whatever, and paying. Remember, all these things is about building your own credit. Is that the minute you go to the bank and say this, I've got this proposal, I want to do this, I've got the money. Or they will look at your credit record. That's the reality of it, we can say. But people, what they do, or the Black people, we have a tendency of borrowing and not paying back. So that comes to bite you later on at the end of the day.
We just don't pick up the calls.
And joint ventures. Joint ventures means that if there's 4 of us, we can put 50, 50, 50, 50. And 4 of us buys that 1,200 square meters. The 1,000 square meters, we can subdivide it to 4. So it's 250, 250, 250, where we can build whatever. So but that buying that property and not, you see, the other things is that when this partnership comes in or comes to an end, somebody wants to say, I contributed this amount of money and the fightings. But if you have people who have the same intentions as you are, then that's how equity, you build your own equity, you start small to get to where you want to be. Then later on, you make yourself that you find those big properties. the location properties, they vary in terms of square meters and whatever.
Yeah.
But if you get a good property where you found it's a 1,000 square meters or whatever, that you are able to make sure that you subdivide and sell it in a very nice amount of money, where if you build and do whatever, is that you can sell the property at 250,000. You know, for me, I realized that there was, when I was a starting professional, my problems was that when I was looking for property, I was not qualifying. And no one was willing to be selling me an affordable property.
Okay.
So as a middle class or an upcoming class, I couldn't buy. I say even to my colleagues to say, first thing, we don't buy property at the beginning of our salary. The minute you start working, you don't. We want to buy property when you are 40 years old, which means you're going to finish your property at 60. But if you bought your property at 23, by 40 you are finished. 43 you are done. It's 20. Bond gets to be paid. But when you buy that, at that age, you don't have the credit liabilities of loans of whatever. The loan that you might have would be a study loan or what, but it is little, and you have not actually tarnished your credit record. So we buy very late. When we are too old, we keep on renting and giving out money. They say renting is dead money. So that's the reality of it. But the minute in your 20s, whites do that. With their first salary, our first salary, you want to buy a car?
Oh yes.
Yes, that's the
yes.
Or second salary, whatever. But we don't consider
buying a property.
We don't consider buying property. So that's where I think our equity never comes, because at 40, who wants to give you 20 years and 60 years? What happens with it? But if you bought it at a young age, and I mean, when I say at the young age, it means what? It means in your middle ages, then you are finished. So, or if you get people who, your financial advisors or whatever, that shows you that, pay an extra amount of money to reduce. So in your 30s, you might finish that. So what does it mean? You can use that property as another equity to fund another property, just like that. So,
all right, there we have it. If you have a good piece of land, or one that you think is good and you're really excited about it, get the lawyers involved. Now we know that MBA is available to advise you, and other conveyancers, really. So we've heard, don't just go to any attorney, go to one that actually is well-versed in property law. And I hope that was informative for you. And if you have found it to be impactful and educational, empowering, we ask one thing: share it with your community so that we all learn. And subscribe, and follow our channel, because we have got more empowering, educational, and inspiring conversations that we are going to have with you. Goodbye.